and my first husband is Dr. J.
Ah, yes. How about that voice? Oh. I've heard it other ways. What a great morning. Everybody turn around and say, thank you for being here for this day. Now, you're really going to thank yourself by the time this service is over because of our wonderful, wonderful speaker today, and we are truly blessed to have her with us. We have been colleagues and friends and brother and sister and family and metaphysical students together for 35 years. And it has been, when I started the work here in 1975, she started her work up in Alamo in the following year, and we developed our work together with Dr. Tom Costa and Don Ringness and all those wonderful people who were back there then. And what is scary is there's only 2 of us left. I am excited for all of you because I know that many of you here know her and love her. If you have heard her, you know what a wonderful morning it's going to be. If you haven't heard her before, I congratulate you for being here. It is a delight and joy. We love her dearly. She is one of the lights of the metaphysical movement and religious science. Let's welcome her up here. Dr. Maxine Kaye. Oh.
Thank you. All right. Well, I'm going to do my best to deserve that. Thank you. What a wonderful welcome. Thank you, Dr. J, and thank you, Dr. Cynthia, for inviting me here. This is absolutely wonderful to be with you. I love these two. Yes, I've known Dr. J for 35 years, and I know and love Dr. Cynthia now, too. What a great dream team you have here. In addition to your wonderful assistant ministers, staff ministers, practitioners, you've got it going on. This is a good thing. All right. There are different renditions of this, but let's do it this way. And if you wish to say it after me, go right ahead. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is whole, complete, and perfect. Since there is only one life, then that life is my life now. It's the only life there is to have or to be. And glory, hallelujah, wow. You see, there is only one life. And from that one divine something, that great love that must express out of itself, that great wisdom that knows how to use the creative, intelligent process to bring everything into being, comes all, including you and me. And it's wonderful to remember that from the oneness, from the unity, comes the multiplicity. So I want to talk a little bit today, maybe a lot today, depending on how long you'll put up with me, about this glorious life and how it exquisitely expresses uniquely by means of each and every one of us, and it's time for us to awaken to it and to experience the aliveness that's the truth of our being. Yeah. You see, it's true that all mystics come from the same country because they all speak the same language. And I love that Dr. J is teaching this mysticism class on Wednesdays. If you haven't participated in it, I know you'd be very happy to be there. It was Aldous Huxley who popularized Leibniz's idea of the perennial philosophy. There is one ground of being out of which everything comes. And we know that even the pre-Socratic philosophers were looking for one something out of which everything comes. All right, I'll take off part of my bling, but only part of it, because it's making the microphone go crazy there. But I'll put it there where you can still see it. Bling is to be seen. But they were looking for a common element. One said, oh, it's all water, it's all fire, it's all earth. And then the atomists came and they said, it's all atoms. We're talking about 5th century BC, where they were looking for the one common element out of which everything came. Well, we understand that now to be the life of God. Oh, isn't that interesting? It is slipping right down my trousers. Here it is. Who knew? I've just given birth to a microphone. So out of the oneness comes everything. Now, how do we know about life and aliveness? Well, Thomas Troward had some good ideas about it, didn't he? He said it isn't just motion, it isn't just movement, it's intelligent activity. Intelligent activity taking place. Yes, you know, it's different to have a wonderful dog like the Jack Russell who lives with Dr. J and Dr. Cynthia, or Yoga who lives with me. You'd much rather, how did the song go? I'd rather have a doggy than a goldfish. You can't take a goldfish for a walk. So there is something about movement and about this intelligent activity, but we understand that there are degrees of intelligence and that this whole evolutionary process that Thomas Troward so clearly spelled out for us, the whole evolutionary process has brought us to a place where, at least so far as we know right now, we are the pinnacle of that evolutionary process, where we're now at a place that we take it to the next level by our conscious awareness of our aliveness. Sure, there's life in everything. There's life in rocks, you know that. Have you been to Death Valley, by the way? Have you seen Racetrack? Do you know about Racetrack? There are big rocks, and they call it Racetrack because there is infinitesimal movement of these rocks. There are people who go and measure them every year to see how far they've moved. I mean, these people really ought to get a life, don't you think? I'm going to Death Valley to measure the movement of the rocks, right. But they actually move. The wind somehow moves. You can see the tracks of where they've moved over the last billion years or whatever. So there's life in everything, but you are more alive than anything else, so far as we know right now. So what are we going to do with that aliveness? Well, first of all, we're going to wake up to it. I am so blessed. Dr. Cynthia has agreed to be the editor of the book that I've been writing. Yay! And it is called Alive and Ageless. Yeah! All right. 3 years ago to Sillamar, I did a workshop. I had just actually begun the book. I'd outlined it. I had a lot of the chapters put together in my mind and some actually sketched out. And so at that workshop, I was sharing stories about my own life, about other people's lives who have done remarkable things at any age. As Dr. Tom Costa used to say, don't let age be your cage. And I never have. At the end of that workshop, I announced to people that it was the 2nd anniversary of my 35th birthday. And I asked them, the people who were in attendance, if they would be willing to send me stories of the things they had done later in life that kept them alive and kept them moving. And so many of them have, and they're going to be in my book as well. It should be out pretty soon, maybe a couple, 3 months. We'll see how that goes. And I will come back and autograph copies for everybody. But I love that there is no limit to how alive we can feel. And so you and I, as the apex of this evolutionary process right now, need only to become aware of that aliveness. And so it is about awakening to our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual aliveness. So we want to keep moving the body. We want to keep moving out from our emotional nature, anything of negativity, any old resentments, we have to release them, keep moving, keep the circulation going, let more love, more understanding flow through. And we want to move our intellect, keep it alive, and do our crossword puzzles or our Sudoku or whatever it is that we do to keep the mental process. Learn a new trade, learn a new instrument, learn a new language. Keep it going, keep it flowing. So movement is involved. But of course, the most important part is for us to awaken spiritually every day more and more, to be excited and enthusiastic about life. Do you remember Eleanor Jackson? Of course you do. Eleanor Jackson was this little redhead, another redhead. And she had once been one of Ernest Holmes' soloists. And when she would come to speak in Merrill Hall at Asilomar, she was about this big, but she was done. You remember her, huh? She'd come out with a tambourine sometimes, and she'd talk about enthusiasm. She wanted us to be enthusiastic, and of course, entheos from the Greek means in God. When you are enthusiastic, when I am enthusiastic, we are experiencing the aliveness of the life of God itself. This great ground of being individualized as each and every one of us. And so I would like to ask you if, when you awakened this morning, you did anything like Charles Fillmore used to do. When he was in his mid-90s, you know Charles Fillmore, he and Myrtle Fillmore began Unity. He would jump out of bed in his mid-90s. And he was purported to have said, I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm as I spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that can only be done by me. Did you do that this morning? Not quite, he says. Well, think about that for tomorrow morning. Imagine, okay, I see he bought into it. I love that. I think it's important for us to begin our day in a way in which we have aligned ourselves with that infinite truth of our being, that there is aliveness. There is new possibility. No matter what yesterday brought for us, this is the day. Now, my beloved teacher, mentor, second papa, Earl Barney, anyone know about Barney? Well, I studied with him from the time I was 10 years old. And I took first year class. My mother and I took first year class together with Barney when I was 14. And those are the days, as Dr. J and I were reminiscing last night, where you'd get certificates this big from the Institute of Religious Science and Philosophy, signed by von Valkenburg and Ernest Holmes and Earl Barnum. Well, Barney was, as I said, like a second papa to me. And his wife, Jenny, is still on the planet. And I visited her not too long ago in Westlake Village area. She used to write music. And she was the pianist at the church in Redondo Beach. And she would write songs that I, as a 13, 14-year-old, would sing when all the teenagers would go to the institute to gather together.